They said that there were no survivors. They searched everywhere but found nothing. It was then buried at sea. But after 35 years, it came back to life and landed successfully. This is a real story and not some scene from a Hollywood movie. This is a true story of a ghost flight that appeared after 35 years. Welcome to our channel. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon for never missing any interesting videos we come up with. Let us begin. September 4, 1954, was a normal day at Aachen Airport. A commercial airliner known as Santiago Flight 513 was getting ready for its journey. The plane was being operated by Santiago Airlines. It was a regular scheduled passenger flight from Aachen, Germany to Porto Alegre, Brazil. There were 88 passengers and 4 crew members on board. As the clock struck 11:45 a.m., the pilot opened the door for the passengers to get in. All were seated comfortably and the excitement was palpable because many of them were flying for the first time. The flight attendant made several announcements to calm the passengers' nerves and prepare them for the flight. After the last-minute preparations, the pilot closed the door and the aircraft taxied to the runway. At exactly 12:30 p.m., the pilot advanced the throttle. The plane sped across the runway and, within seconds, Santiago Flight 513 lifted off into the sky. It was now in the hands of God. Within minutes, the plane was cruising smoothly at 21,000 feet above the Atlantic Ocean. From the plane windows, the passengers could see vast stretches of water and clouds below them. They also saw other planes in the distance, soaring high above the ocean. Many passengers felt a sense of awe and wonder as they realized just how small they were in comparison to the massive expanse of the sky and the ocean. Flight 513 continued its journey over the Atlantic, leaving behind the shores of Europe and heading towards its destination in South America. As the plane flew higher, the temperature in the cabin dropped slightly, prompting some passengers to reach for their jackets. The sound of the engines filled the air, providing a constant hum that was both comforting and surreal. Inside the cockpit, the pilots engaged in casual conversation, discussing the weather conditions and the smooth flight. They exchanged jokes and stories, creating an atmosphere of camaraderie that was typical of their daily routine. For them, this was just another flight, another journey across the skies. And so the plane continued on its path, carrying its passengers and crew towards their final destination, unaware of the mystery that lay ahead. Suddenly, after approximately 1 hour and 45 minutes of takeoff, the radio operator heard a noise in the headphones. He told the pilot about it. The pilot asked him to repeat it. The radio operator repeated it again. Then the pilot said, "You are absolutely right. I hear it, too." However, the sound was so faint that the pilot couldn't determine what it was. He considered it might be the sound of an engine failing. However, when he listened more closely, he realized that all 3 engines were working normally. The sound was coming from outside. The pilot immediately contacted the nearest airport to land the plane, but the airport was so far away that it would have taken another 2 hours to reach there. So the pilot decided to keep flying for now. He tried to divert his attention to other things. But unfortunately, the sound started to become louder and louder. The pilot and the co-pilot turned pale as they realized that they couldn't explain what was happening. No one in the control tower could explain what the sound was. The passengers were also terrified and confused by the eerie noise. Some believed it might be the sound of an approaching storm, while others whispered about the possibility of a mid-air collision. Fear began to grip the passengers as they strained to listen to the noise and tried to comprehend what was happening. The sound echoed through the cabin, amplifying their anxiety and creating an atmosphere of panic. In the cockpit, the pilots struggled to maintain calm as they attempted to identify the source of the noise. They checked the engines, the wings, and the fuselage, but everything seemed to be in order. As the sound continued to persist, the pilots realized that they were facing an unexplained phenomenon that defied their understanding and training. With no way to predict what would happen next, they were forced to confront the terrifying reality that they might not be able to protect their passengers from whatever fate had in store for them. The captain struggled to keep his voice steady and calm, knowing that his demeanor would affect not only the passengers, but also the fate of the plane. He delivered the message succinctly, explaining the situation and emphasizing the need for everyone to remain seated. The passengers, already tense from the mysterious noises, were now faced with an unexpected announcement that heightened their fear and confusion. As they looked around the cabin, They noticed that the flight attendants were also visibly shaken, which added to the sense of uncertainty and danger that permeated the aircraft. With each passing moment, the atmosphere in the cabin grew increasingly tense as the passengers grappled with the realization that they were in grave danger and the fate of the flight remained uncertain. At 2:30 p.m., the captain informed the passengers that due to unknown technical problems, he needed to make an emergency landing. He explained that he didn't know if they would survive the crash, but before that, he needed them to fasten their seatbelts and prepare for impact. Before anyone could react, the plane suddenly lost altitude, indicating that the plane was going down. It went lower and lower until it disappeared below the surface of the ocean. Nobody knew what had happened to the plane or the 92 people on board. They sent out search and rescue ships and airplanes, but nobody could find a single trace of the plane. After a few days, they gave up the search and rescue operations. But the relatives of the dead kept asking the government to find the plane. The government had no option but to comply since they couldn't let the relatives suffer endlessly. They kept searching for the plane, but it was no use. After a month, they found nothing. They buried the 92 people at sea. Everyone forgot about the plane except for the relatives of the dead. On October 12, 1989, after 35 years, the plane suddenly reappeared. It was flying towards Porto Alegre's airport. An air traffic controller received a call from the military. The military informed the air traffic controller that a plane was flying towards the airport. The plane wasn't broadcasting anything. The controller was confused. How could a plane fly without broadcasting? Was it a new model of plane? He thought maybe they had removed the radio to reduce weight or something. The controller was stunned. He watched as the plane got closer and closer to the airport. It was a Boeing 707, same as Flight 513. Could it be possible that the plane that had gone missing 35 years ago had reappeared? He quickly called the police and told them to investigate. As the plane landed, a team of security personnel rushed to check it. What they saw left them shocked and horrified. The plane was filled with the skeletal remains of all 92 people, with the pilot still clutching the controls. The horrifying sight that greeted them sent shockwaves through the small community of Porto Alegre, Brazil. News of the discovery spread like wildfire, leaving residents and authorities grappling with a mystery that defied explanation. The reappearance of Santiago Flight 513 after 35 years without a trace had already baffled everyone. And now the haunting image of the passengers and crew frozen in their seats, their skeletal remains a grim reminder of the tragedy that had unfolded on that fateful day in 1954, only added to the enigma. The world was stunned. The plane had been missing for 35 years and suddenly it appeared in the sky like nothing had happened. The only question that remained was who was piloting the plane. Who was sitting in the cockpit? Why did it suddenly appear after 35 years? There are many questions but very few answers. The most widely held explanation behind Santiago Flight 513 is the wormhole theory. According to the theory, the plane most probably entered a time hole, which means the plane traveled through time. Do you believe that? Well, it may sound crazy, but it has some science behind it. According to Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity, space and time intertwine in a four-dimensional fabric are not static, but rather dynamic entities influenced by mass and gravity. In his 1916 work, Einstein proposed that massive objects warp the spacetime around them, creating a sort of dent that could potentially lead to distant points in space and even time. Decades later, scientists built upon Einstein's theories and introduced the concept of wormholes, hypothetical tunnels that connect to distant points in spacetime. These wormholes, often depicted as shortcuts through the cosmos, have captured the imagination of scientists and science fiction enthusiasts alike. While their existence remains purely theoretical, the idea of wormholes has opened up exciting possibilities for interstellar travel and the exploration of the unknown. In 2019, NASA released a picture of a black hole. Black holes are regions in spacetime exhibiting gravitational pulls so strong that not even light can escape their grasp. They form when massive stars collapse and can distort spacetime to extreme degrees. By studying black holes, scientists gain insights into the fundamental laws of physics and the evolution of the universe. NASA's images and research shed light on these enigmatic objects, helping us understand their formation, behavior, and impact on the cosmos. Now, applying these scientific theories to the case of Santiago Flight 513, It's plausible that the plane could have inadvertently flown into a wormhole, emerging out of the portal at a significantly later point in time. The wormhole theory provides a potential explanation for the sudden reappearance of the aircraft after such a prolonged absence. However, it is essential to acknowledge that this is just one of many theories and no concrete evidence supports the idea that wormholes exist or that the plane actually traveled through time. What do you think about this bizarre case? Let us know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to stay tuned for more updates. Thanks for watching.